Hello, dear listeners. Here is Andre Branco, and you are on the channel Souls Like. Today I bring you a story that will touch deep in the hearts of those who have already felt the weight of the expectations of others and the strength of those who refuse to bow to them. Get ready to get emotional. For Anna, the kitchen was not just a room in the house, it was her refuge, her kingdom of aromas and flavors where each recipe carried a piece of her soul. In those first months of marriage, while she and Jorge shared a rented apartment, that tight but welcoming space became her sanctuary. Anna didn't cook, she created. He turned simple ingredients into masterpieces with a touch of magic, and Jorge, a dedicated programmer in a large technology company, came home every day with the same brightness in his eyes, eager for the dinner waiting for her. For him, each dish was a declaration of love, and Anna dominated this language like no one else. Everything was in peace, until the storm arrived, as always comes to many young couples, the first visitor of the mother-in-law. Aline Konstantino Kudryavtseva was not any woman. Assistant director of a school, accustomed to giving orders and seeing the world bending to her will, she entered any environment like a hurricane, imposing posture, penetrating look and an authority that left no room for replicas. Anna would never forget the day Jorge took her to meet her mother. Aline examined it from top to bottom with a calculated disdain, as if evaluated a defective product on a shelf. Skinny, and this size. He let go, like a verdict. But it could be worse, my son. Anna swallowed the humiliation dry, convinced that it was just the abrupt manner of the woman. Jorge, ashamed, apologized later, swearing that his mother was a good person, just a little straightforward and, well, sometimes without filter. The marriage was simple, almost modest, and Aline did not miss the chance to demonstrate her discontent. The bride's dress. Too simple. The restaurant. Too cheap. The guests. Weird. But the real hell began when the couple moved. From there, Aline began to appear every weekend, as if her right was to oversee their lives. And with each visit, it was clear that, for her, Anna was not a daughter-in-law, she was a rival to be defeated. Jorge, are you a skeleton? Doesn't this girl feed you well? He launched, while his son, in full shape, devoured Anna's dishes. These curtains. In my time, not even in the poorest houses it was such a lack of taste, he criticized, although the set had been chosen by 4 hands and combined perfectly with the rest of the decoration. But it was in the kitchen that the battle became more cruel. Aline considered herself a master of stoves, and the idea that a little child as Anna could overcome her was unbearable. Does this you call borscht? My cat eats better in the bowl, he said, while clearing the second bowl of the same plate. This salad is a salty. I always said that today's girls do not know or measure spice, he said, serving as another portion. Anna endured. By Jorge, who twisted between the two women he loved, not knowing how to calm down one without hurting the other. For love, she swallowed every acidic word, every look at contempt. Until one day, Aline went too far. During a visit, unintentionally, dropped the sink of Anna's recipe book, a treasure that carried notes from the girl's own grandmother, photos of dishes, family memories. What a clumsy I am. But well. Maybe it wasn't big thing, he said, with a smile that didn't hide his satisfaction. That night, when Jorge slept, Anna cried in silence. Those soaked papers, those blurred letters, were pieces of themselves being erased. The trigger came on Jorge's birthday. Anna dedicated herself for days. She planned every detail, bought the best ingredients. Prepared a cake with a secret recipe. I wanted that day to be perfect, a gift of love for the man who always supported her. Until Aline called, announcing her arrival. Don't worry, honey. I know you wanted to do everything on my own, but I couldn't let my son eat that on his day, he said, bringing a fine confectionery cake and dishes that herself had prepared. Jorge, visibly uncomfortable, said nothing. And that silence hurt more than any word. The night was a martyrdom. Aline praised her own dishes aloud as she scored from Anna's. Until the time has come for the meatballs, those that Jorge loved, stuffed with cheese and herbs, made with all the affection. Is this edible? You can't cook anything. Aline moved while devouring one after another, as if they feared they took the plate. It was then that something inside Anna left. It was no more pain, it was pure fury, a fire that burned inside. And when Aline served as a second portion of plov, Anna's mother, hitherto silent, finally said, "You know, Aline, it's curious as someone who says my daughter's food doesn't stop repeating. Could you explain this mystery?" The silence that followed was sharp. Aline froze, the spoon in the air, her wide eyes. It was not used to being challenged. "I just didn't want to hurt Anna." Bulk, but the words sounded empty even to her. "Ah, then you care about her feelings?" He resumed Helena, Anna's mother, with a calm that hid steel. "Why, if so, why do you humiliate it with each meal? Why do you disregard your talent if you can't stop eating?" Jorge finally found his voice. "Mom, Helena is right. For a long time I wanted to say that her behavior with Anna saddens me. She cooks wonderfully, and I love every dish she makes. Enough of disrespecting our house, our spaces, our choices." Aline paled. He was not prepared for that clashes, much less coming from his son, always so submissive. For the first time, the world did not rotate around it. And for the first time Anna felt her voice and her kitchen had finally been heard. The son who had always been so docile now looked into his mother's eyes with a firmness she had never known to her. "As soon as you talk to me now?" Aline's voice trembled between the offense and the fury. "I'm the villain, and is this cook the saint?" "No one said you're a bad mother," Jorge replied without giving a millimeter. "We just ask you to respect Anna and everything she does for this family. She is my wife, and I will not allow anyone to mistreat her. Not even you." That night marked a turn. Aline, claiming a sudden headache, collected her things in a hurry and left without saying goodbye. And for the first time in years, Jorge hugged Anna with a force that seemed to want to compensate for each silence, every omission. "Forgive me," he whispered against his hair. "I should have done this a long time ago. I should have defended you." Anna didn't cry with sadness, but from relief. Finally, he saw her. Finally, he had chosen he had been by his side. 2 weeks passed without a sign of Aline. No phone calls, no visit. Jorge tried to contact her a few times, but the conversations were short, tense, as if they both measured each word. Until, on a common afternoon, the intercom sounded. Anna opened the door and found her mother-in-law in the hallway, holding a large box between her hands. "Can I come in?" asked Aline, with such a low voice that Anna barely recognized her. Hesitantly, he made a sign of passing, preparing internally to another attack. But the eyes of the older woman brought no battle, they brought something that Anna never saw in them: humility. "I brought you something," said Aline, extending the box. Inside, a new recipe book, bound in dark leather, its pages immaculate except for the first, where a C. Tremula alleged wrote, "For the best dishes of the best daughter-in-law." I wanted to apologize, the words came out with effort, as if each syllable weighed tons. I needed time to understand that I was wrong. I was afraid of losing my son. Fear that he loved her more than me. I acted unworthy. Anna didn't know what to answer. That request for forgiveness, as unexpected as lightning in clear sky, left her speechless. "I don't ask you to forgive me now," Aline continued, her fingers squeezing the bag of her bag. "I know I hurt you deeply, but I would like to try to fix things if you allow it." Jorge, next to Anna, supported her hand on her shoulder. "The decision is yours, love. But I hope you find a way." Anna took a deep breath. It was not ready to erase years of resentment with a smile, but I didn't want that cycle of pain to drag itself forever. "Maybe we could start from scratch," he proposed, drying the tears that insisted on falling. I was precisely preparing dinner. Want to help." It was a small gesture. But sometimes it is in the small gestures that the greatest transformations begin. To Anna's surprise, Aline was not the same ogre when she was not in attack. In the kitchen, a woman who knew much more than criticizing was revealed. She knew the secrets of spices who made the simplest dish shine, passed techniques from generation to generation. Anna, in turn, shared the modern trends she had learned, the bold mergers she experienced. The months passed, and those two women, who once seemed to irreconcilable enemies, began to make something new, not a fragile truce, but an unexpected alliance. Of course, it was not easy. Aline's old habits did not disappear overnight. Sometimes an acidic comment escaped, a grimace of disdain formed unintentionally. But now, she caught herself. Stopped. Breathed. And gradually the change became visible. Until the news came that would seal everything: Anna was pregnant. When Aline knew, her tears were of such a pure joy that Anna could not doubt. I'll be a grandmother. I promised to be the best grandmother in the world. And fulfilled the promise. When Sophia was born, Aline became the safe haven of that house. He took care of his granddaughter to rest, prepared meals so that the young mother had more time with her daughter, and, most importantly, never allowed a criticism of her daughter-in-law to cross her lips. Sophia grew up wrapped in double love. He inherited from Anna her creativity in the kitchen, the boldness of mixing flavors, Aline, accuracy and discipline. And when the two women united forces to create a cooking channel, Two-Generation Cooking, success was instantaneous. They showed the world how tradition and innovation could dance together, just as they had learned to do. 5 years after that fight that changed everything, on Anna and Jorge's wedding anniversary, Aline lifted her glass to a toast. To my daughter-in-law, he said, the embargoed voice, which taught me the most important recipe in life, forgiving and loving. Thanks to you, I understood that my son's happiness is also mine. Anna, listening to those words, felt the knot in her throat. He remembered the bumps thrown in the trash, the contempt stamped on his mother-in-law's face. Who would say that bitter conflict would be the fertile ground for a true friendship? It was then that Sophia, already 4 years old, pulled her sleeve and whispered, "Mom, when we eat the cake you and Grandma Aline did." Anna smiled, stroking her daughter's hair. "Soon, my son. The best is always coming." And she knew it was true. Because when there is love and respect, even the most unlikely ingredients, a difficult mother-in-law, burnt bumps, grudge years, can become the sweeter recipe, a family.